Hey, what's up, everybody? This is C3 Films, and this is an open discussion. My name is Chris, and this is.
Cheryl.
And today we are going to be talking about the movie The Little Things with Denzel Washington, Rami Malek, and Jared Leto. So if you haven't seen that movie, we are going into spoiler territory. So run away, watch the movie, and then come back and let us know what you thought about it. So we're just gonna go ahead and just jump right in. So Cheryl, like with you starting in this movie, not I know you didn't see a trailer or anything,
Actually
like
did
you
see a
didn't.
trailer.
Oh, okay. So you did see a trailer. Well,
Yeah.
what were you thinking going into the movie when you watched it?
I mean, I knew it was gonna be. I mean, obviously, it's pretty clear that it's about like a murder mystery. It's a detective story.
Hmm.
Um, but I was like, okay, you have Denzel Washington in it. It's gotta have some kind of twist. It's not gonna be like a regular cookie cutter standard detective movie. So my question was, how is it going to be different? How is this going to
Hmm.
be unique, something that we haven't ever seen before? And I guess I didn't really get the answer until the very end, which was kind of cool. I kind of liked it. I, I I guess like just kind of just diving right in. I was just surprised like we never really get to know who the murderer is. Because
I mean,
it's not about that. It's about the characters really.
yeah. When you said diving right in, you were really diving right in. You
I just
drove
went
straight
right
to
to
the
the
end of the movie.
end.
You just skipped over everything else we could talk about to just go right to the end of the movie. All right, let's talk about
It
that.
just this just
Um,
happened that way.
like yeah, like the movie is very ambiguous about like if they got the killer or not. So like, I mean, what do you think? Do you think they got him, or do you think that he wasn't the right guy?
I don't know. There wasn't enough evidence. Like there was like a lot of things that kind of pointed to him, but like they kept investigating stuff and it was always clean. Like the
Hmm.
only thing that came close to like it pointing to him as being the actual murderer was the box of newspaper clippings that um D finds in the floorboard in his apartment, which he broke into illegally, and that was bothering me because I was like, whatever he finds in there, they're not even gonna be able to
We
use
can't
it.
even use.
Yeah, and it's just like I can't. I wanted him to solve it, but I didn't want him to solve it illegally.
Right. I think that's the interesting thing about the movie. Like when I'm watching it, I get like the vibes of like Seven or The Bone Collector. Like the movie is violent, but it's not like visually violent. It's not like you see violence like happening on screen like that much. It's more like you see the corpses and the things that happened to them afterwards. The implication of the violence, and so you want him to solve it, but it feels like they really have nothing to go on, and this murderer is just gonna get away with everything. So I actually kind of like the idea that you weren't sure if Jared Leto's character was guilty in the end, because the moment I see that actor, I'm thinking, oh, that's obviously the guilty party. It's a big name actor. Like, there's no mystery. There's no murder mystery here. He's the one who did it. So getting to the end and being like, there's no bodies buried in in this place that we're digging. I'm like, oh man, oh no. So I really like
Yeah,
that about the movie.
it was just like he was just a cool kind of character just because like he was so mysterious and like you felt so much that you wanted it to be him because he was being so like suspicious and like and the main characters wanted it to be him too and D was always on the trail and like there's this like the music for that that they keep using whenever like he's onto something but then it always turns up dry and then cutting to the end again Rami's character just hits him in the face with a shovel and then it's like oh no now what like now what do we do. Although I did think it was dumb that he was just there in the middle of the night by himself with Jared Leto digging holes.
Well, he was thinking he was going to go and rescue the girl. So I understood why he went with him because he was convinced like we were that he was the guy that did it. And like he wasn't trying like before he was only worried about if the person was dead. If they was dead, then we're finding the mystery. Like they try to show that when the parents come there and they're like looking for their missing daughter and he's like, hey, is she dead? Do we have a corpse? They're like, no. Well, he's like, well, then she's still missing. And then he just kind of brushes them off. But him actually engaging with the family is what drives him to make that decision at the end because he's now concerned with not just catching a killer, he's concerned with saving a girl. So that's the whole reason that he goes with him and is there digging holes because he's convinced that this guy is guilty and that this guy has buried this girl and this is his moment to prove him wrong. What I don't understand is why when he gets there and finds the actual place, and the person says she's buried underground, and then you make the assumption she's dead, why not then just leave or call for backup at that point?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like going there, yeah, I get like because that's in a way a risk that you have to take. But the whole time I was like that he was there digging the holes. I was like, I feel like once he gets there and like he doesn't see anything there and it's clear that they have to like do a lot of digging, that
Mm-hmm.
it would make more sense for me to like remember the place, remember how to get there, and then call it in, and then you know arrest him, and then get a digging crew. Like I think that's what it would be in reality, but I mean. It's a character film. It really like it didn't seem like it at the beginning, but it
Mm-hmm.
really is a character film, and I didn't feel like I really got that until the very end when I started to figure out that like, oh, we're not gonna actually know who the murderer was. Um,
Yeah. No, that's very interesting because, like, I went in with the same kind of feelings. I didn't know that it was going to be a character film. I thought it was going to be just murder mystery, but not like typical. Although when we got to that scene at the end, I had what's in the box moments from Seven like flashing in my head.
mhm.
I really thought that there was going to be some kind of big reveal for like what this character did, and then for that not to come. Yeah, it is the moment you realize like this is actually just about these characters and what they've been dealing with and how they choose to deal with it. You know, how they choose to um, get over the things that they've done or to get by.
Yeah. I mean, I think it definitely seems like how it comes across is that Denzel Washington and Rami
Yeah, the characters were Joe and Jimmy. Denzel was Joe, and then Jimmy was Rami's character.
Joe and Jimmy. So they both seemed like they had their head on straight, like they were normal. And then, what's the other guy's name? Albert? Was it Albert?
I think it's
Yeah, it was
Albert. I forget.
Albert. Albert
Yeah.
is Jared Leto's character. He is actually he comes across as crazy, but I think he was the only one that wasn't crazy, and
You think he's the most normal?
yeah, he actually. I mean, he's creepy, but he's just a guy. And what you don't really know is that the crazy one is actually Joe. And
Hmm.
and you don't really figure that out until later. So like, I guess it's kind of a cool parallel to see like Joe's character and figuring out that he's crazy, and then seeing like that is the path that Jim is on. Like he's gonna get there, and like by the end of the movie, he kind of does.
Right. They kind of try to draw those parallels between those two characters and their two like trajectories, and you're not really sure what it is that drove Joe there. You assume the thing that drove Joe there was the fact that he never caught the killer. Like that's what you're left to assume. Um, and what you find out though as you keep going is that like by the end of the movie when you find out that he killed somebody and the by accident he killed like the last surviving witness and then the you find out that the other people helped him cover it up, that you realize that's the thing that's driving Joe to like this craziness. It's like not only did he never catch the killer, but he also was responsible for this person's death, this innocent person, which is a direct parallel to what happens at the end with Jimmy's character, because you don't know if this person is guilty, but there's a good chance this person is innocent. And where do you go from there? And he didn't solve the crime.
Mm-hmm. So it almost feels like there's two stories being told at the same time, because you only get pieces of Joe's past throughout the movie, and you don't like really get to know like what happened to him until the very end. Like you think you do, because they give you more and more information as you go, and then there's a whole last bit at the very end when he sees Albert on the floor and he realizes that Jim killed him, where you find out that he killed a girl too in the past and she was innocent. But the only difference is that he believes that Albert is guilty, and he manipulates Jim into believing it too by planting evidence, so to say. So
Oh man, that moment though, that moment when that happened, like when you get the mail and he's sitting in there and he opens the mail and you see the red beret and you're like, there's that moment, yeah, okay,
he was
okay,
guilty.
you got him. He was guilty. And then the next scene happens where he's burning the things that he bought, and I'm like,
no. That was the most, it's like literally the last scene, right? That's when you're like, oh my gosh, we don't know who the murderer is. And you don't like register that until the very last scene. That, you can't do that.
No, it's so good though. It's a great way to end the movie, but like the movie ends and I'm sitting there like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, they might have killed somebody that had nothing to do with it. And the movie told me, like the movie said, he's a crime buff. He's a crime buff and he follows crimes. Of course he'd get aroused by like crimes, because like the pictures of the crimes, because he's not reliving it necessarily. He just loves crimes.
He's just creepy.
So, he's creepy. Oh my gosh. So like that ending was, I love that ending, but I also hate it.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, I mean, I hate it because it's like, oh man, now we don't have like peace, like it's like a cold case almost, where like it just sucks that you don't have that satisfaction of knowing that like who the murderer is and like solving the case and stuff. Like it's still unsolved, and like it just, they give it to you and then they take it away, and it's so like
Yeah. It's interesting because if this was like reality, then one of two things would happen, right? Either the criminal would murder somebody again in the future, and then you'd find out that that Joe lied, because this murderer is still out there, still murdering girls, or the murderer just stops murdering people, and so now it seems like Albert was the killer, but in reality, the real killer just stopped and disappeared. But the real killer would have no way of knowing that these police officers murdered this guy that they thought was the actual killer. So, in all reality, most likely the killer would kill again, and then you'd find out that this guy was actually innocent. But the movie ends, so we don't get that catharsis.
I want a part 2. I just want to know.
Yeah, like
I want to know who did it, but there is.
Right?
There isn't. There is. It doesn't. It's in the void of fantasy. It doesn't exist.
Nope, it doesn't, and it's so frustrating, because you want them to catch the killer, also because of the fact that this is implied, and most likely is the case, that the killer that killed the girls that Joe was associated with is the same killer that's killing the girls now. And then it makes even more sense why at the beginning of the movie they don't show you the person's face. I actually forgot about that. I forgot that when they have the car and the person gets out the car and is chasing the girl, that the person's in shadow and we actually never see the person's face at the start of the movie. We just assume as viewers that it's Jared Leto, but we actually don't see the person.
I think that you do kind of see him, but like all you could see is that he has like a hood on and like sunglasses, so you can't see anything. And
Right.
when the witness uh was in the police office, I thought she was gonna say. Actually, she did say probably not, like that she wouldn't be able to identify him. And I was like, yeah, probably. Like that makes sense to me because like there's no way you could see his face because he had
She
like
was
glasses
running.
on and stuff. But then when she saw Jared Leto, I was like, oh, like maybe like his body shape she can identify and his looks familiar, but that that just got tossed away.
Oh, I was so mad when that happened because I knew exactly where they were going with that. Like the moment that he stepped out and she was there and looked up, I was like, dang. As soon as she like looks in a lineup, she's gonna pick the guy out because she recognizes him and they're gonna find out that she saw him before.
Mhm.
Oh, it's like a series
Yeah.
of unfortunate events and people just need to do their job better.
I was like nervous during that part because like they were hinting like obviously why would you pay so much, film like screen time to the witness not being interviewed
Mm-hmm.
and her being left alone. So I was like, "Oh my gosh, is something going to happen to her or like is she going to like get killed or like an accident's going to happen or something and we're going to lose her as a witness, but no, we just lose her a different way."
She got to live at least.
Yeah.
So
Although I was gonna
so
say she was really dumb at the beginning of the movie.
oh man, you are so right. I actually remember myself yelling, and I was thinking to myself, Cheryl's going to be so mad at me for this movie just because of the way it begins.
It was bad. Like, I get like the drama of it, but like, why you get out of your car?
And leave it running.
Yeah,
You
stay.
get out of your car, you leave it running, and the door's open.
Like, just keep driving. But
Exactly.
now I kind of want to go back and look and see what the car looks like.
Right. Because now I don't think it was the same color. I feel like the car they were driving at the beginning of the movie was blue, and then the car that he was driving
It was
at the end of the
green.
movie was green. Yeah. But then what about the second car? Do you remember what color that car was?
I think it was like a basic color, like white or tan or something like that.
Okay, it'd be interesting if that car was blue and and like the because remember he said that he reported the car stolen. So if the car is blue, it still doesn't prove anything because
It was
the car was
stolen.
stolen. So you could say that the person that actually is the criminal stole this guy's car, which is a coincidence upon coincidences, but this is a movie.
Now, like the more we talk about it, the more I'm like, I don't think it was him.
You know, when I first finished the movie, I was so sure. I was like, absolutely, he was the guy. He was creepy. He was, weird. I think he knew details because, oh yeah, because he was at the what was it, the mile marker, right? He was at the right mile marker when they were at that point when they were at the cars on the opposite sides and they were like doing that
Oh
little dance.
yeah, yeah. But that was
Like,
coincidence.
yeah,
That doesn't
it's
prove
like,
it. None of this proves anything.
hey, this movie should be called a lesson on circumstantial evidence because that's
Right?
all the movie
That's why it's called the little things. It's these little details.
is.
But they're not enough.
It's not enough. Like, because there's the roast beef. Like, the last meal that the girl had was roast beef, and then he drives and he buys roast beef sandwiches or something, but then he gives them to like the prostitutes that are on the corner before he drives away. And it's like, he's guilty, right? That's guilty. No, that's not enough. That's still circumstantial.
Yeah. So many coincidences.
Yeah, this movie is very frustrating in that way, but I think that's probably why I really like it. This movie is a movie that is like it's one of the movies that I used to watch a lot, like as a child. Like it's like the same kind of tone. It's a slow burn, but it's very well acted, and you have very good dialogue. Like the dialogue between Joe and Jimmy is really cool. But then you have all these people basically telling Jimmy, "Don't follow into Joe's footsteps. You replace Joe. Don't become him." And I mean, I love that interaction. How they were, it's buddy cop. They were like at odds at the beginning, but then by the end, they were like best friends, and Joe even tries to like give him some peace of mind, even though it's a lie.
Mm-hmm. Manipulation. He's crazy.
So he's up here seeing people in his bedroom, sitting there in the dark. Freaking Jimmy goes to his room and like comes inside. It's unlocked, looking at the wall, and this dude is just sitting there back with the lights off in the corner, just like, "Can I help you? Can I help you, Jimmy?"
Right,
like, bro. What are you doing?
That's so funny. It's so crazy. Like, it's just interesting how like they are pointing the finger at Jared Leto. Like he's the creepy one. He's the crazy one. He's the one that's like messed up in the head. But it's really Joe, and like he's like the hero. And I mean, it's Denzel Washington. You're gonna be like, oh yeah, he's the slick, cool cop who knows what he's doing. He's gonna solve the mystery and stuff. But he does it, and he's crazy.
No, he literally ends the movie covering up another crime the same way he did 5 years prior to the beginning of the movie story. He covered up that crime of him murdering somebody. Now he's covering up another crime of someone else murdering somebody, and then I guess the cycle repeats, and then that's how the movie ends. Like, I got a lot of respect for this movie. I don't think there's much more to say. I'm basically done now, but I have to say that I overall really just enjoyed the movie, and I like the fact that there's all these little things that are left up in the air, and you are left wondering if the guy actually was guilty or not. And like, I started this talk thinking he was, but after we've talked more, I'm kind of like you. I'm like, I think they actually killed the wrong guy.
Yeah, I don't think he did it. Well, all I have to say about this movie, or to you about this movie, is how's the trunk space? That is all.
So creepy.
Yeah.
But all right. That's all we have to say on the movie. What about you guys down there? Like, what do you guys think about down there? If you give us a like, share, subscribe. But even if you don't, though, I've been Chris, and this has been
Cheryl. We'll see you next time.